All right, everyone, it's right at 12 o'clock, so we're going to go ahead and get started here with our program. Again, thank you for joining us. My name is Emily Lakemaker, and I'm the Assistant Director of Recruitment and Student Life here at Rollins School of Public Health. Today, you are joining us for the cover letter webinar, and yesterday we had our resume writing webinar. If you missed that, it is already up on our YouTube channel, and we'll have this one up today. Hopefully by the end of the day, this should be up on our YouTube channel as well, so you can go back and reference it. Additionally, if you have any questions throughout this, you can type them in the questions box, which should be in the upper right-hand corner of your screen. We're going to go through our presentation, which should be about maybe half hour, 40 minutes, and then any time that we have during that hour left, we will address as many questions as we can. I'll read them aloud, and then we'll answer between the three of us. We'll make sure that those get answered. If we don't get to your question before our hour is up, you've got my contact information. You can always reach out to me, and I'll make sure that it gets sent to the correct people in the Office of Career Development to ensure that everything's getting addressed. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to my colleagues from the Career Services Office and let them get started.
Hello everyone, welcome back. I'm Roger Presswood. For those of you who were on the webinar yesterday, welcome. And for the new ones, welcome to Rollins in the Office of Career Development. I'm also joined by my colleague, LaDonna Jones.
Good afternoon, I'm LaDonna Jones, and I'm also a career coach and data manager with the Office of Career Development.
The cover letter. We definitely get the most inquiries about resumes, but probably the most questions about, can you explain really what a cover letter is and what the purpose is. So we'll go into detail about that. I'll give you more insights into how to break down the cover letter, and then we have an extensive cover letter guide. So this is a brief overview of cover letters. I didn't want to overwhelm you, but we're going to break it down, go through the sections, and then I'll tell you how to access the guide at the end. Let's look at the top 5 reasons to send a cover letter. To separate yourself from other candidates. There are going to be a percentage of candidates that do not send a cover letter at all. When I used to interview, if a candidate sent a cover letter, that was an immediate way to separate yourself because it showed that you had enough interest in the position to actually write a cover letter. Express your motivations and reasons for applying. This is the perfect opportunity to tell me, why are you passionate about HIV? Why are you passionate about the Carter Center? All of you are coming into public health because you want to serve. No one comes into public health just because of the money. So you want to express that motivation. This is the perfect avenue to do that. Provide more detail than what is stated in a bullet point. There's only so much you can say in a 1, 2, 3 sentence bullet point. There's only so much you can say about teamwork or about why you're motivated for a position. So the cover letter gives you more ability to actually write out those motivations, give me more detail about how you worked with a team, how you developed your skill sets. Convince the interviewer to review your resume. If you write a customized letter and I can see your motivation, your passion, I am definitely going to look at the resume. So this is one of the best ways to separate yourself again as a candidate and get me to take your resume seriously. Required per the job description. If in the description it states submit resume and cover letter, you must submit that. That does mean it's required. I used to have applicants that I would put submit resume and cover letter and only get the resume. That was instant elimination. So definitely submit it if you read that in the description. Let's look at formatting of the cover letter. You're going to use the same header, the name and contact info, as you use on your resume. That gives it a nice, uniform, professional look. I'll show you that again for those of you that didn't see it on the resume yesterday. 1-inch margins, and try to utilize the same font as your resume. Again, that gives it a nice professional look when the interviewer is reviewing both of those documents. 1 page maximum. And a cover letter longer is not necessarily better. You definitely will not go over 1 page. And you do not have to fill it from the top to the bottom. What you want to do is state enough information to give your motivations, your transferable skill sets, but it does not have to be the full length of the page. Steps to writing a cover letter. You're going to evaluate the job description just as you're going to do when you're writing your resume, you're going to evaluate the job description to match up your skills, qualifications, transferable skills. Research your organization to express specific and detailed interest. I don't expect you to spend hours looking at the organization, but in 5 to 10 minutes, you could go to the Carter Center's website, look at their mission statement, look at some of the projects they're doing, and tell me that in the cover letter. It only takes a few minutes, yet separates you drastically from other candidates. Probably 1 out of 10 candidates that would write a cover letter would actually do this additional work of just going to the website, finding something about the mission statement or about the work they're doing, and actually write that in the cover letter. That is a great way to separate yourself from other candidates. Create a draft version and continue to refine it. Just as when you're writing an essay for any other class or for your admissions, you can't write the perfect letter the perfect time, the first time. So write a draft and continue to refine it until it reflects what you want it to say. It's very often that I'll have students that do 4 and 5 versions of a cover letter. Edit, recheck for errors. Just as in the resume, if there is an error in that cover letter, it could be instant elimination. So again, get your friends to look at it, get career services to read that cover letter. So evaluating the job description. So let's look at a sample description, and you can see we've highlighted some of the skill sets they're asking for in red. And I'm going to give you examples of what you might match up from your own experience. So the first, you can see event planning in red, new student orientation. So if you did some planning for a new student orientation, that's definitely transferable. Website development, even if you haven't developed a website, but perhaps you've worked on your Student Government Association website, you've done updates, that still shows me as the interviewer, good, they have some exposure to websites, and I can give them the additional skills on the development side. Newsletter development, you've written a class newsletter, marketing of health-related programs. So perhaps you haven't done any actual work in the marketing of a health program, but you've had an undergraduate marketing course. Let me know what you learned in that class, because that may be more than the other candidates have had. So that's a good example of an academic transferable experience, matching it up with what they're requesting. Can move on down, you can see prior quantitative research. You've had an undergraduate research internship. So you want to look through each job description. This is how you begin, and look through the skill sets, go through your experience and background, and match those up. Realize that I know that you're not going to match every skill set being requested in the job description. We don't expect you to. You're here in grad school to learn. So think about your transferable skill sets and realize that you do not have to match every skill set to apply for the position.
Roger, what if I only can identify 2, maybe 3 things within the job description that are relevant to my previous experience?
If you realize that you're not matching the majority of the skill sets, what I would state is I would continue to look for something that may have some more transferable skills. However, if you're passionate about that position, the type of work, the organization or the realm, I would still apply to that. So if you want to work in HIV at the CDC and you haven't had perhaps a quantitative skill set, in the cover letter, tell me your passion for HIV. That is the reason you came to Rollins, was to learn quantitative skill sets in HIV. Expressing that passion can be enough to convince me as the interviewer, this person is passionate. Although they may not have the exact skill sets, that's the kind of person I want in this position. So yes, I would still encourage you to apply to that position, but you do have to tell me, this is why I want it, here's what I want to learn, and I want to come in and make strong impact for your organization. So let's look at the components of a cover letter. We'll break down the sections now. The opening paragraph, the opening summary paragraph of interest. And most of the positions that you'll see for internships here at Rollins, it will not provide an actual name. So you're going to utilize, we recommend Dear Hiring Manager. If a name is provided, however, definitely utilize that name, but most of the time you will not see that. State the position, title, division, and the reference number, if applicable, for which you are applying. HR gets hundreds of resumes. If your application goes to HR, they need to know the title, the division, and the reference number if they included that to identify you, to get you to the right hiring manager. a brief description of who you are and your background. So we'll look at one of those examples now. We'll start with, this is the header that I was telling you about, the same one that you're utilizing on your resume. You're going to put the date. We did not have the name of a hiring manager, so we stated, "Dear Hiring Manager." And here's our opening paragraph. And you can see that you're telling them about your strong interest and the research graduate position, and then you're giving the division of the CDC. You're giving that you're a first-year student, so that's your status, and your concentration, health policy and management, and then summarizing it that your course of study, the work experience, and the passion you have for global safe water make you an ideal candidate. So this is a very good opening paragraph that you have tailored for the position. I can see that as the interviewer that you just didn't send me a form letter, but rather, yes, this is someone who read the description and is interested in the position.
If I met a CEO or employee for the company at the career fair, would this be the appropriate place to include that information?
Yes, definitely mention the person's full name that you met them at the Rollins Career Fair in this opening paragraph, because that referral could be enough as the hiring manager or the HR person to say, oh, so they've already met them. I like that part. I like that they mentioned it here. It shows additional interest. Always mention a contact or a referral that you have in the opening paragraph. So let's look at part 2, the body of your cover letter. So this is where you are going to talk more about those key experiences relevant to what they're requesting. A key point is to not simply regurgitate the resume bullet points. When I was a hiring manager, probably the biggest issue I had with cover letters is that many candidates would take the bullet points and just put those in sentence form. There was no new information, no new insights. I don't want to waste my time reading a cover letter if it's nothing more than regurgitation of the bullet points. So yes, you're still going to utilize information from the bullet points of skill sets, but you're going to give me more insights into those skill sets, more insights into how you developed your teamwork, or more insights into the work you did with the quantitative side. Avoid generic unsupported statements. Just as in the resume, if you're going to utilize that you have excellent communication skills, you have to give me the background. Where did you develop those skill sets? Did you develop it as a team leader for Habitat? Was it another volunteer experience? Give me the detail, the background into how you develop the skill sets. And use relevant terms and phrases from the description. So if in the description it says you must be able to work in a fast-paced environment, you definitely want to include this type of phrasing in this part of the letter. And that way it lets me know, good, they actually read the description and I've worked in a fast-paced environment before. So it lets me know that this will not be something new, that you have experience doing that, especially when you get transferable aspects like a fast-paced environment. Really focus on those things because interviewers do look at that. I want someone that has had previous exposure in this type of fast-paced environment. And don't discount your academic and volunteer experiences. Just as I said yesterday in the resume, your academic and volunteer experiences may have been some of your more significant experiences, more significant than perhaps the lab experience you had. So you can definitely utilize those in the cover letter as well. Give me the insights and the details from your academic and volunteer experiences.
Does the experience that I provided in my cover letter have to be noted on my resume as well?
Typically, you are going to still state that skill set or experience in the resume because there's nothing that says I will necessarily read the cover letter first. I may look at the cover letter. So you still want the hiring manager to see the skill set in the resume. But as I've been saying, you want to expand upon that in the cover letter. So typically, yes, if you're writing about a skill and experience in the cover letter, you will have mentioned it in one of your bullet points in the resume. So let's look at a sample of this body of your cover letter. So you can see this particular student stated that they're enrolled in the 2015 water sanitation class, and they're talking about the skill sets and knowledge that will provide. They're also mentioning some undergraduate experiences that gave diversity of skill sets, and you can see useful for analyzing tools and methodology. And this is phrasing from the job description. So in the job description, the employer is talking about part of the description will be analyzing tools and methodology. So you took that phrasing and you put it in the cover letter. And the second paragraph, now we're going to talk about some undergraduate experiences that you had. So you stated you had 2 international undergraduate experiences in developing countries, and that gave you insights into cultural aspects and then strategies that you've done to promote new objectives. And then you're stating that will prove valuable in promoting the Safe Water Program objectives at an international level, because in the job description it stated program objectives that we will utilize at an international level. So it's succinct. We haven't written a whole page, but enough here to give me some insights into your background, a little more detail that could be stated than can be stated in the bullet points. And it proves that, wow, this person really read the job description, they thought about how they match up, and they put that information here. So it's clear that you did not just write me a form statement that you've been sending to all the other positions that you've been applying for, and that's critical that they see that you have written a customized letter. And then the closing paragraph. So you're going to express motivation and relay why you want to work for the position, the organization. Provide your contact information, email and phone number in your closing. I know it's in the top at the header, but a lot of HR people and interviewers are used to seeing it in that bottom paragraph. They immediately look there as well. So just to be safe, we'll put it in the closing paragraph. And then you're going to thank them for their time and consideration. And we'll look at an example. So you can see here, you're expressing that you look forward to assisting the Global Safe Water team and its goals, that you're going to contribute your research skills and your passion for the realm, and then you're providing your email and your phone number. You're going to thank them for their time and consideration, and you conclude it with sincerely your name at the bottom. So let's look at some key aspects to remember. The cover letter should be something you customize. As I said earlier, if you write almost a form letter and just change out maybe the name of the organization, HR people, hiring managers, they recognize that. When I used to see that as a hiring manager, it almost was a deterrent. If I saw that the candidate wrote pretty much a generic form letter and changed out just the name, that was almost a deterrent that, wow, this person did not really take this position seriously. So it can actually harm you if you send a generic cover letter. In the worst case scenario, I had candidates that used to forget to change out the name. So they would send perhaps the name of the Carter Center in the cover letter when they were sending it to the CDC. So that's also what can happen. So customize that letter for each position. Again, do not regurgitate the bullet points. Obviously, you're going to have more information about your skill sets and the resume because that's what it's for. You're going to have more bullet points. You're not going to be able to mention everything from the resume and the cover letter. So pick out the key transferable skills that you want to give me more insights to. So you may have 15 to 20 different skill sets in the resume. You may pick out 3, 4, or 5 that you're going to focus on to give me more insights in the cover letter. And remember, the cover letter is the first and only impression you get to make with an employer. I like to tell students, the resume is more of the data. I scan it to see if you have the basic skill sets. The cover letter is your voice. It's your only opportunity to express to me the voice you have for the passion for global safe water, for HIV, for why you came to public health. So make that count. If I read that and sense that passion, you're going to be the candidate that I call because I want to hear more from you. I want to learn more about you because you motivated me with what you wrote about in the cover letter. So we do have an extensive cover letter guide on our site. It's about 16 pages. I know you didn't get all of the information you probably want here, but I did not want to overwhelm you. I wanted to focus on the key aspects of a cover letter. In the cover letter guide, there's much more information. We have several examples of cover letters that you can look at. So go to this website, click on the Careers tab, and then Polish Your Job Search Tools. That's the same site that I provided yesterday where you can see resume guides, networking guides, just some phenomenal resources you can start looking at in the next few weeks before you get to Rollins. So thank you. We are now going to open it up for questions, as I'm sure you have a lot. And I'll turn it back over to Emily.
All right, so let's pull up our questions. All right, so Lauren is asking, should we put our qualifications in any chronological order? Like most recent experience, most recent to past?
No, in the cover letter, the order is not important. I would say perhaps it would make sense to your most significant qualification, the one that you think represents you best for the position, I would list that one first. That makes sense because it is also true that interviewers, HR people do also skim cover letters. We pay more attention to information at the top and middle of the resume, of cover letter than I do at the bottom. So I'd put your more significant experience, transferable skill sets ahead of the others in the cover letter.
All right, and Lauren's question was our only one, so it looks like we don't have any others. If you here comes one, Victoria. If we did meet a CEO or other contact from an organization, how would we indicate that we met that person in our cover letter? Can you provide an example?
So in that instance, you would draft up your cover letter and express who you are, express your interest in the position, and just say on which date you met. Say it was Jason Williams from the Carter Center. You would just say, I met Jason Williams at the Carter Center and had a really great experience talking with him about the Ebola crisis or whatever it was that really stuck with you after that meeting.
All right. Sharia is asking, is it necessary to include a cover letter as an attachment? Can't we include it as the mail? I guess maybe as part of the email in the body of the email.
Yes, I definitely recommend if you write a cover letter, you spent some time doing that to really write a good cover letter. So utilize that as the body of your email, because if I open up that message, I see, wow, they've written a detailed message. I can start reading about your passion for HIV right then. Use that as a body. You still will attach it though to the letter so that I can forward that to others.
Okay, so here we come, another question. They're coming in slowly. Michael is asking, is it appropriate to provide a cover letter even if the job description does not call for it?
Yes, to reiterate what Roger was stating in the beginning, it kind of sets you apart because it's not a required document. So especially if you're really interested in that position, you want to go ahead and just draft a cover letter as well to send along with your resume.
Okay. I'm not sure if here we go. They keep popping up, slowly but surely.
You're slowly writing in.
All right. Sadaf is asking, what if the job description lists lots of requirements and it is very long, about 10 to 15? Do we mention every requirement?
You do not have the ability to mention every requirement because you'd have a 5-page cover letter. So no. So you are going to pick out, though, if there are 15 skill sets, pick out the 3, 4, 5 that you have the strongest qualifications for, the strongest experience, and talk about those. Remember, as I said in the presentation, no one is going to match all 15 of those because you're here to learn. So pick out the ones that you have the best experience, transferable skill sets for, and write about those.
Okay, we'll give it maybe another, there we go. They keep coming in. Kelsey asked, should you highlight courses that you are about to take?
Yes, you can talk about the courses that you are going to take, but make sure they are relevant to the position you're applying for. Because we do have instances where students will basically just give us a version of their transcript in the cover letter or resume. So just stick with those, maybe 1 or 2, even 3 courses that are related to the job description.
Good answer. We'll see if we have any other questions trickle in here in the next couple of seconds, and if not, then we'll let everyone go on about their day. Well, it looks like I don't see anything coming up, so I think, all right, just as we're trying to close it. All right, Ferdius is asking, I will send the cover letter as the body of the email and resume as an attachment. Am I right? So is that the proper way?
That is correct, but remember, also attach the cover letter as a document as well. So they have both the attachments of your resume and your cover letter, and then in the body, they're still reading the cover letter as well.
All right. And you guys don't have to wait till we're done answering the questions. If you have some questions, just type them in and we'll get to them. We'll give it another couple of seconds so that way we can make sure we get any questions you guys may have. We want to be sure to address them. I'm sure as soon as we say we're going to start wrapping it up, a couple more pop up, so we'll just hold off for a second. So we certainly hope that you guys have been getting some good information between these past 2 days of webinars. In addition to this, the Career Services Office will be also hosting some orientation programs during orientation, so be sure that you attend those as well to get even more information. All right, so we've just kind of already covered this. There seems to be a lot of confusion for some reason about what to do in the email. So Cherie is asking, so, when attaching the cover letter, what should be the body of the email? So that was the question that was just asked. Basically what you'll be doing is you'll put the cover letter in the body of the email and then attach both the cover letter and the resume as attachments themselves. So cover letter and body and both attachments before you send, both cover letter and resume as the attachment. Leslie's asking, will the orientation program include the same information provided today and yesterday? So on the first day of orientation, there is going to be a career services session that everybody has to attend. You'll either go to one if you are coming straight out of undergrad, or if you're coming in with with 1 or more years of full-time work experience. So you'll go to one of the sessions based on where you fall. That information is not going to be exactly the same of what we've covered today. That's going to be covering different elements of the different services that Career Services provide or the Office of Career Development provides, ways to communicate and contact with them, policies of the office, and just some overall helpful hints of how to begin your job search and perhaps a real job if some of you are still looking for real positions. Then on the Friday of orientation, after our day at the CDC, the Career Services Office is holding a seminar on writing resumes and career and cover letters. That will be basically what we've covered in these past 2 days. So you can, if you've attended these online, you wouldn't need to go to the Friday sessions, but everyone does have to go to the Wednesday the 19th sessions. That was very long-winded. My apologies.
That was good information.
Thorough.
That was thorough. That was excellent.
Okay, and I'm gonna butcher this. My apologies for this name butchering. Omo Shaliwa is asking, are there any special notes in the email, cover letter, resume, or otherwise that we should make if we were applying for a real position versus a non-real position?
Yes, you should definitely mention that opening paragraph of the cover letter that it is a real position, that you have the real award, so that the HR manager knows that. Also, we've just been doing some sessions on the real program, and you will have a written award of that. And so I would recommend that when you have an interview, take the written real award with you so you can show that to the interviewer. But definitely mention it in the opening paragraph of the cover letter.
All right, Leslie's asking, can we email you a resume at this point to get feedback because we are beginning to apply in early August?
Yes, you can email us if you're working on a cover letter that you're applying for a specific position. You can email Career Services. We just changed our email address.
Did it go into effect?
We'll have to.
My contact information is on the emails that you guys received. It's emily.lakemaker, LAKEMAKER @emory.edu. If you send it to me, I will forward it on to Roger and LaDonna.
Thank you, Emily.
Thank you.
You'll definitely want them reviewing it more so than me. Promise. Okay, so I think with that, we're going to go ahead and keep answering questions as they're popping up. All right, Sydney is asking, is it expected to bring a cover letter and resume with us to the interview?
Yes, you should bring a copy of all the materials that you provided. So if you have, like Roger said, your real award, you'll also bring a list of your references just in case they ask you for that, and any other items that that you submitted with your application you'll want to bring with you.
And for those of you that missed the webinar yesterday, bring that on resume paper, which you can get at Office Depot, Office Max. So the cover letter, resume, your references, all of that should be on quality resume paper. It just helps you stand out, again, as a professional.
Okay. Maybe now we'll wrap up. We'll see. I'm going to go ahead and start wrapping up. If we get a question, we'll answer it. Okay, so with that, I think we are going to go ahead and wrap up. Again, my contact information is emily.lakemaker@emory.edu. It's in all the emails that you receive for registering for this webinar, so you can go back and reference that. If you send your resume, I'll make sure to get it to the correct staff at the Office of Career Development. And like I said, I'm going to get this posted to our YouTube channel today by the end of the day, and that you can just Google that. It's RSPH Admissions is our YouTube channel, and so you can go back and reference us if needed. So thanks again for joining us, everybody. We were really glad to get a moment to talk with you, and hopefully this can kind of help get you on the right track, and we'll see you in the fall. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Look forward to seeing you.